Not sure if I can top the last one, so I might have to put some dance moves into my talk as we go here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Doug Sullivan, and I'm going to be taking us home here today. And I always like to start us out with a little bit of music that's relative to the theme we're going to be talking about. But I just got to ask, anybody know who that was singing that? Almost. It was George Harrison. 70s classic rock, singing about it's all up to what you value. I'm going to change that up just a little bit. I'm going to say it's all up to what they value, and that's where we're going to start our conversation today. We're going to start our conversation talking about value. Now, I think the best place we can go first is let's define the word value. Now, when I talk to most of you in coaching conversations about value, where you usually go first is to the dollar signs. You start thinking dollars right away when you hear the word value. And indeed, one of the ways that value can be defined is in its verb format, and that is estimating the monetary worth of something. But if you'll let me today, let's take that off the table for a few minutes, and let's talk about the noun version or noun definition of value, and that is the regard that something is held to deserve, its importance, its usefulness. Remember those two words. They're going to come up over and over and over again. So let's try this on in a statement, okay? How about if I throw this one at you? The chiropractic adjustment is of great value, great importance, great usefulness. What do you think? Really? Can we try it again? The chiropractic adjustment is of great value. What do you think? Okay, there you are. I was a little worried you left when Ryan left. All right, let's try another statement. Let's add on to that a little bit. The chiropractic adjustment is of great value to staying well. What do you think? Do we agree with this? Good, because this is where we're going today. We're going to talk about the value of chiropractic wellness care. Okay, so that's our topic today. Let me start out by and again, I know I'm in a room full of chiropractors and chiropractic teams, but for just a moment, can we go back and remember what our value is, what chiropractic's value is? The cool thing about this conversation is we can go back a couple thousand years. Go back to Hippocrates. He says the natural healing force within each one of us is the greatest force in getting well. Our founder, D.D. Palmer, about 130 some years ago, said chiropractic is founded on different principles than those in medicine. How about Thomas Edison? Not a chiropractor, but boy, by this statement, he sure could be. The doctor of the future will give no medication, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. We're hearing some words over and over again, aren't we? Let's fast forward here to this guy. I'm wondering, who trained at Palmer under Fred Barge? Anybody had some? Had a few? I got a connection to Fred Barge. His original clinic was just down the street from my house in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Fred Barge said, chiropractors will become the doctors who have the ultimate concern for health maintenance and disease prevention. You guys, our time has arrived. Our value is becoming ever more established, our usefulness, our importance, and not just to making the back or the neck feel better, although we're really good at that, but it is also established that chiropractic care boosts the immune system, helps treat the untreatable diseases. There's even a study out of New York University saying people with 5 years of chiropractic care had immune systems that were, get this, 400% stronger than those with cancer. 200% stronger than those without cancer, meaning people that really aren't sick. Chiropractic boosts the immune system. Holy cow, is that valuable, useful, important? What do you think? What do you think? There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So important that at Integrity we even included this as our foundational statement. Chiropractic is the foundation for true health and wellness. Hopefully you recognize this coming out of your Living Well for Life class. But here's the problem. When we coaches start talking to so many of you about your wellness practice, about wellness chiropractic care. One of the most common pushbacks that we get from you in moving people to wellness and growing wellness and keeping people in wellness care is something like this. Our patients just don't want to pay for wellness care. They can't afford wellness care. Don't raise your hands, but have you ever found yourself saying this? You ever found yourself thinking this? Can we grab this by the throat right now and shake it dead? Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm going to give you a statement. Let's chew on this a little bit. People will buy or invest in or tend to those things, those products, those services that they perceive to have high value. Remember, value is importance and usefulness. But let's not analyze this within the chiropractic discipline. Let's get out of chiropractic for a moment. Let's look at it from some other lenses. How about the lens of economics? In economics, you guys, there is a concept called demand. Demand says that people are willing to pay for goods or services that they value. And get this, willingness to pay is tied to the perceived importance and usefulness that they derive from it. Let's look into behavioral economics for a minute. There's a concept called subjective value and emotional decision making, and it says people don't make decisions based on affordability alone. Will everybody please listen to this? If they deeply value something, if they find it deeply important, deeply useful, like a luxury item or personal well-being or an experience, they will prioritize it over their current financial logic and budgeting. Translation, they'll pay for it even if they don't actually feel they have the money, if it's important enough. See, I'm trying to get your heads out of their pocketbooks, you guys. How about psychology? This is one I know everybody in the room has done because I know you had high school psychology. And I bet you remember at least hearing about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow said if someone perceives a purchase as fulfilling a critical need, like let's say investing in their long-term health, they will justify the expense even at great personal cost. Like maybe reorganizing their budget, not paying for that thing over there so they can pay for you. Don't you dare tell me they can't afford it. Don't do it. They can if it's important enough, if it's valuable enough to them. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull all the definitions back together for value. It's important, it's useful, and it's monetary worth. Okay? And we're going to talk about value today from the angles of usefulness, importance, and value. Here's the thing, we just said it. If they perceive importance, usefulness, satisfaction, they're willing to pay. If it's deeply valued, they'll prioritize paying for it. And if it fulfills a critical need, they will reprioritize where they get their finances from. Can I prove this to you in the real world? Yes, I can. Am I about to get politically inappropriate? Yes, I am. But with that said, you've seen this before. You've been driving through town. You've driven past that house where the front porch has fallen off and the roof has fallen in and there's a tarp thrown over it and you're thinking they're getting showers in their living room. And yet, despite the fact that the house looks like it can hardly be lived in, you see parked out front the brand new, shiny, and you know, high dollar sports car. Am I right? You've seen it, haven't you? Now, am I here to judge this person? Absolutely not. But what I am here to show you is that despite the fact that they were getting wet while they were sleeping, they still have the high dollar sports car. They reprioritize what they're paying for and where they're putting their money. Now, again, I'm not here to judge, but I'm here to tell you they'll do it. So here's the deal. If chiropractic is so valuable for wellness, why do so many of your patients not commit to it? Or maybe why do they commit early on and then they drop out, oftentimes telling you, have you heard this before? I can't afford it. There's a concept that I want to carry through the rest of today called diminishing marginal utility. Anybody ever heard of this? You've experienced it. Every one of you has experienced, even if you're not sure what it is. The definition is where the additional satisfaction of something decreases with continued use or exposure. So you all have had a new car at some time, whether it was new to you or brand new, whether you bought it or somebody gave it to you. Think about your first car ever. You were excited about it, right? Your ticket to freedom, right? If mom ran out of milk, you were the first one to say, me, I'll go get more, just so you could have an excuse to drive the car. Am I right? You drove it everywhere. You wiped the dust off of it. Birds poop on it. You take it to the car wash 4 times a day. My dad used to joke with my first car that I was washing more rust off the car than I was dust. But now fast forward 6 months, 9 months later. You remember this. You're now running out the house because you're late to school or to work. You're running out, you slam the keys in the car, you turn it on, it drives you to work. You go to work, you go to school, whatever it is, you park it in the parking lot for 8 hours, you don't think a lick about it. You come back outside, car's still there, you get in it, you go home again. Now, does the car still have value? Yes, it does still have value. But your perception of that value has gone down. Does this make sense? I submit to you that your patients that make it to the end of their acute care, they make it to Wellness Report 3, are experiencing the same thing, right? We go through and we talk to them and we talk to them and we talk to them about the value of wellness. They get there, they say yes, we say yay, we put their name on the wall, we push them out the door, and they're thinking it's important, it's useful, it's worth it, I'll sign up, I'll do it. And then by about 6 months later, just like the car, it's just an adjustment. Their perception of that value has gone down. Right? It's not the shiny car anymore, it's just a car. Now, before you might say, well, wait a minute, maybe they never valued it to start with, can I just tell you, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Your patients do value wellness. If you were with me in Dallas in September of last year, we went through this conversation, and I've put it on video for you as well. The class is called Something's Happening Here. And I showed you this study. And this is a great study because it's statistically applicable to our population. And in it, the study says 87% report that they want to take steps to live healthier, to live longer. That's called wellness, by the way. They want to live well. And more than half of them are willing to try new things to get well and stay well. Your patients want wellness, you guys. So what's going on here? If there's value in wellness and there's value in chiropractic, why won't they stay with their wellness care? Well, this is such an important concept to us that we actually put it into one of our own core values here at Integrity Doctors. Core value number 2. It's called chiropractic. I'll give you a little bit of it. Here's the top. It says the public doesn't know chiropractic. They don't know how to say it. They don't know how to spell it. And they definitely do not know how it works. We've got to stop being so quiet and so bashful about the value, the importance, the usefulness, the worth of chiropractic care for wellness. We got to stop fooling ourselves also into thinking that they already know, because they don't. How are they going to know if you don't tell them? So, the next pushback I get when I ask that question in coaching is, but we do tell them. We do. We tell them in so many ways what the value of wellness chiropractic care is. And in fact, I even taught a class to you guys a couple years ago called The Secret Sauce of the Integrity System. And we talked about consistency and repetition in your messaging to your patients, being very consistent and very repetitive. And we do that within our system when you get a new patient in the office. You show them the videos. You give them the reports. You go through your 6-point office visit, right, doctors? Say yes. Thank you. You advance multiple schedule them. You work them all the way up to Wellness Report 3, like we were talking about a few minutes ago. You put their name on the wall. We all celebrate and say yay. The patients are excited. You're excited. And then what? Kind of what happens to our patients once we get to Wellness Report 3 and we move them out to wellness. Not much. Not much of anything. And so what do you think happens after that?
6 months later.
Diminishing marginal utility kicks in. Their perception of the value of your adjustment begins going down. Whether you like it or not, it's happening. Because there's no more videos. There's no more handouts. There's no more celebrations. And you can tell, because I had to force you to say it a minute ago, doctors, a lot of times there's no more 6-point office visit anymore either. Right? We've walked away from it all. And so what happens? Just like the car is just a car, it's just an adjustment. And the perceived value from your patient's perspective is low. How do I know? You won't like me now. I looked at your stats. I looked at a lot of stats. So this office here had 6 months of 193 new patients over that 6-month period, and yet in the same time frame went backwards by 74 wellness visits overall. This office did nearly 400 new patients over a 6-month period and went backwards by 89 wellness visits. This office did 1,600 new patients in 6 months and went backwards by 252 wellness visits over the same time frame. What's happening here? 6 months later, they're dropping out. They're leaving because they don't see the value in wellness anymore. How did we get here? I believe that before we start talking about strategies to try to turn this around, we've got to understand the enemy, right? Sun Tzu, Art of War, understand your enemy. There are 5 things, you should write them down. There are 5 things that your wellness patients are challenged with that pull them out of your wellness care. Here's the first one. Back in Dallas in the fall, I talked to you about this guy named Dr. Peter Attia, who really laid out what the allopathic mindset of healthcare is in the world right now. Now, like it or not, this is where most of the world functions outside of your doors. And the mindset is kind of, if you've got an ache or an ill or a pain or an injury, you go to a doctor. And in this day and age, medicine's great. It'll cure those things. It'll give you these pills. It'll do these surgeries. Puts together a lot of acute issues. Medicine completely fails for long-term disease states. Medicine completely fails for helping people stay well. But the problem is, you guys, that's the world we live in. So if Mary gets adjusted in your office this morning and you say, see you in 4 weeks for your next wellness adjustment, and she's the only one in the family that you're treating, does it seem pretty likely that she's going to go home to a well-meaning spouse or family member who's going to say, why are you still going to the doctor? You're not sick. Why are you still going to the doctor? You said your back pain went away 3 months ago. And maybe that's from a family, maybe that's from a friend, maybe that's from a coworker. But does this make sense to you? Because that's the world that's going on outside our healthcare doors. All right, that's problem 1. Here's problem 2. Outside your doors, there's also no societal support for going back to a chiropractor again and again and again to stay well. Let's talk about this for a minute because it's important to understand. 8 years ago, about 8 years ago, 2016, my math fails a little bit, almost 10 years now. Palmer teamed up with Gallup Polling. Gallup is a preeminent organization that does statistical polling of all kinds of things all over the world, and they've been doing it for decades. And with a lot of fanfare, they came out and they said, Yahoo! We're treating 16% of the population. And the fanfare is well-deserved because 10 years prior to this study, back in 2008, we were seeing 8% of the population. Pretty cool, yeah? I mean, if we're all out for 80, like Keith talked about this morning, well, that's a step forward. There's only one problem. In the last 8 years, this number's hardly budged. Depending on which study you look at, it's anywhere between 16 and 20%. So, what does that matter? Well, to really dig into this for just a minute, we're going to go back to 1962, Dr. Everett Rogers from Ohio State University. Dr. Rogers wrote a book called The Fusion of Innovations, which lays out the framework for how a new idea that is legitimate, like chiropractic, will spread through the population. And what he said is that if the idea has any merit at all, about 2.5% of the population is going to jump on board really quick. Okay? And they're your evangelists. They're going to yell it from the top of the hills. They get it, they like it, they want it. And they're going to bring the next 13.5% of the population on board. Those are called the early adopters. They're not quite as loud about it, but they get it, they like it, and they'll do it too. So if you do the math on 2.5% and 13.5%, anybody know what we get? It's right where we are. Dr. Rogers says this about the 16%. He says it's a fragile experimental point for society. He said it's just as likely that the idea will blow up, get huge, and done by everybody as it is that the idea will blow up, fall apart. That's where we sit right now, you guys. It's kind of a mix of excitement from the people who do it, some uncertainty of those that are looking in from the outside, but most of it is just limited visibility. People just don't see us. They don't know what we're doing. They don't understand it. They don't get it. We're pretty small scale still. Okay? A lot of people are watching, but even more are unaware. And there's just no discussion about chiropractic to stay well out in the community. The media doesn't have it. There's no word of mouth discussion. There are no standards for it. Nobody's doing it. You guys need to understand that when Mary gets adjusted in your office this morning and goes out into the world for the next 4 weeks, it's highly unlikely that anybody's looking at her going, good idea. Going to that chiropractor to stay well. Makes sense. Way to go. And then she's running into the negative support of, why are you going to that doctor? You're not sick. You seeing the problem? It's adding up on us here, isn't it? We have to remember this number, you guys, because it's not until about another 34% of the population kicks in that it gains its own momentum. And we want to get there. It's called the tipping point. Right? You get over 50% of the population doing it, and 1 out of every 2 people has a chiropractor, and all of a sudden, there's a whole lot of support for you out there in the community. But right now, we're not there. And that means if we're not at the tipping point, TV's not talking about you, social media's not talking about you, you're not a dinner table conversation, and you're not a water cooler conversation at work. Okay? You have to support the value of chiropractic care for wellness, because nobody's doing it for you. The onus is on us, which is why we have core value number 2. We got to stop being so quiet and bashful about the value. But remember, I told you there's 5 enemies, didn't I? We're only at 2. All right, let's look at the other 3. This is just built into wellness care, you guys. This is how wellness works. When people are doing good and we're supporting them with chiropractic adjustments, we move them out a bit, right? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I did the math on 4 weeks. It's 41,800 minutes before you see them again. Dr. Stephen, how long does it take you to adjust a wellness patient? 2 minutes? Dr. Mandy, what about you? 4 minutes? Yeah. Dr. Chris, what about you? 5? So we're ranging into the 5-minute range. So you're counting on that 5 minutes that you're with that patient, and what you say to that patient is going to carry them for 41,800 minutes. Do I have your attention? There's a lot going on there. Now, what's happening out there? Well, everything. Everything is vying for your patient's attention in regards to health care. In regards to staying well, pharma, massage, fitness, gadgets. And you guys, they know the secret sauce too. They understand the idea of repetition and consistency. Anybody ever heard of this little old company called Pfizer? I did some research. Pfizer spends between $200 and $400 million a month to market to the American population. Do you have that? Are you spending that? It is estimated with that amount of money spent that every American experiences influence from pharma-related marketing every 3.5 hours that they're awake. That's a lot of time to hear about Pfizer, would you agree? And Pfizer's talking about everything of getting better other than you. But they're not alone. We can't make them the total bad guy. Who in here has heard of Joe Rogan? Ever heard of Joe Rogan? Yeah, I didn't ask you whether you like him. I just asked whether you heard of him. Joe Rogan has got the most popular podcast in the world right now. He's got 5 to 7 million listeners a day. 5 to 7 million a day. He endorses products. He advertises products. One product in particular that he advertises is something called AG1, Athletic Greens. You guys heard of it? It's just a green powder that you pour in your water, shake up. It's your own vitamins. They purport to make you healthy and well. You can get it for $79 a month. Now you say, but my adjustment's less than that. Yeah, but they get that every day from home. Pretty tempting when they're not hearing from you, but they're hearing it from Rogan 3 or 4 times a day. You start to get this? I gave myself 60 minutes. And I just started typing wellness into Google to see where it'd take me. I ended up on Amazon a lot. I ended up on Amazon looking at all kinds of gadgets like, red light laser therapy paddles that I can hold in my hands and put on my back for $43. And you say, those aren't as strong as the ones I have. And I say, I know, but they don't. I found this thing here. It looks like one of those things that I used to put my kids in, when they were crying and you bounce them in the doorways. Yeah, well, it looks like you can get one too, adults, for about $79. You can use it every single day. Don't have to go to the chiropractor. Am I rubbing you wrong yet? If you ain't angry yet, how about this one? I found this book called Chiropractic Technique, Self-Adjustment Made Easy. Don't shoot the messenger. In the summary of this book, it says, get this guide now and save hundreds of dollars on chiropractic adjustment fees. This is what's coming at your patients. I don't know. Let's find him. Enemy number 5. Enemy number 5 is you. Enemy number 5 is you. Hey, Doc, this is when we do this one. This was our conversation earlier. We, CAs, doctors, we regularly cross the line in our office from being friendly to being a friend. Think about this. You've gotten to know these people. You've gotten to know them really well. You know their spouses' names, their kids' names, their dog's name. You know their quirks, their hobbies, etc., etc. Who else knows that stuff about them? Their friends do. So you feel a deep sociological, psychological pull to be their friend. You are not their friend. You are their doctor. You cannot be their friend. You are their doctor. There's a term out there called attunement, and this is what this refers to. Attunement is the ability to bring your actions and outlook into harmony with other people and the context that you're in, to be able to see the world through their eyes without losing sight of your own perspective. There's a great book out there written by a guy named Daniel Pink. It's called To Sell is Human. Subtitle is The Surprising Truth About Moving Others. And he talks about attunement as being one of the main pillars of moving somebody, of selling somebody, of convincing somebody, of delivering value to somebody. He says it involves reading the room, understanding the other person's viewpoint, maybe adjusting your approach to what they're saying, but maintaining your own grounding. You got to acknowledge their conversations, right? Be friendly. But you can't overstep into a dynamic that becomes too personal or disconnected from what's really happening here, which is a transaction. I want you to remember 2 words. It's about alignment, not assimilation. We'll come back to that in just a moment when we're talking about strategies. Alignment, not assimilation. When you lose sight of what your role is, doctors and staff, when you're leading the patient through the office in their wellness care visit, when you lose sight of what the role is that you're leading, you're the leader, you're the one telling them what the value of their care is, you will drift away from what they need, which is to hear what that value is. Because remember, their own perception of value is going where? It's going down. So here are all your enemies. And all those enemies lead to it being just an adjustment. The rest of the day, we put our focus here. Every time they come to see you, we want to get their focus and their thinking back to thinking it's a valuable wellness adjustment. It's important, it's useful, and it's worth it. What are the strategies to doing it? Here's the crazy thing, you guys. You have the strategies. You know everything I'm about to tell you. but we've got to put them into play. You've got to repropose the value every time. You've got to be consistent about what you're saying. You've got to be repetitive about what you're telling them to do and why they're getting the adjustment. So let's go through them. Here's strategy 1. There's 3 of them. The first strategy is actually wellness report number 3. Now, I stepped into a little bit of a puddle in front of Keith and Ryan back in September when I said this, but sorry guys, I'm going to do it again. I think we messed up when we were naming wellness report 3. I think we should have called it the wellness report of findings. Because I think if we'd called it the wellness report of findings, it might have helped you frame it a little bit better in what the conversation really is. It is as important as the report of findings that you give to your new patients when they come in the door. In that report of findings, you're telling them what their care is to get them out of their back pain or their neck pain. In Wellness Report 3, you're telling them what their care is to stay well for the rest of their life. Pretty important conversation. Doctors, team, there's a video to Wellness Report 3. Did you know it? Yeah, I'm finding some of you don't know that there's a video. Show it. Doctors, there's a script. Did you know that? Use it. It's written to help you lead that patient to say yes to the care. Do we celebrate when the patient gets to wellness? Do we all come out into the office and say yay and ring bells and throw confetti? Offices that do it, stand up. I want to see who you are. If you celebrate the wellness transition, okay, offices that are sitting down, you got to change it. They will only be as excited about it as you are. So get really excited. Do we do a hand dance? Is that what we do? Yeah, the hand. Oh, we have pom-poms. Excellent. Okay, great. Thanks. We can sit you down. There are 2 other things about Wellness Report of Findings or Wellness Report number 3 that we want to dig into. It's the handoff and destination wellness rewards. Let's talk about the handoff first. It is exactly the same as when you're doing a report of findings for a new patient. And what that handoff is, CAs, if you do this in the office, you will love the result of this. Doctor, CA, patient. So there's 3 of you. You're facing each other. Don't do this over therapy when they're face down. Do it when we're looking at each other. We've gotten a commitment to care, wellness care from the patient, and the doctor says to the CA, Mrs. Smith is going to be doing wellness adjustments every 2 weeks for the next 12 months. Why is this so important? Because Mrs. Smith sees that commitment being handed over to you, CAs. All you got to do now is, as Keith says, book them, Dano. It makes your conversation with them so much easier. You don't have to renegotiate it. It's already been done for you. And then if you'll also go back and watch Carolyn Wright's, I think it was our April Perfect Procedures. She did a program called Navigating Conversations. She had brilliant scripting in there for you on how to navigate through getting the patient advanced multiple scheduled for their wellness care. Okay. And why should we advance multiple schedule? I'm going to go back to Daniel Pink's book for just a moment. In that book, when he's talking about convincing someone of value, of convincing someone to make a commitment and keep the commitment, one of the things he talks about is scheduling them for a visit. Scheduling them for their next follow-up, whatever that follow-up might be, for whatever reason that might be. And he says, scheduling, you guys, creates clarity. It cuts through the noise in the patient's world and identifies for them what truly matters, and then it frames that thing that they've committed to and scheduled in a way that drives action. Acts as a lens to sharpen, focus, and to elevate importance. By doing this, you strip away ambiguity, and listen, you elevate its importance. Literally, advanced multiple scheduling your wellness patients makes that visit appear more important because it shows up repetitively in their calendar. In other words, scheduling boosts value by forcing them to clarify what deserves their attention and framing it as a must-do. Please stop saying my patients won't advance multiple schedule. Yes, they will if you lead them. And it is one of the main tools you have to helping them retain perception of high value of your wellness care. How many of you use the Destination Wellness Rewards program? Put your hands up. Okay, the rest of you that don't, I could stand up here and I could tell you all of the, various retailers and service organizations that do loyalty programs and say you should do it because they do it. Let's go to the science. There's actually a journal out there called the International Journal of Business and Social Science, and it goes through and it shows very clearly that loyalty programs boost retention. Loyalty programs increase the perceived value of the service that they're getting. But I do want to address one thing. Can't even believe I got to say this. Retention jumps notably when the rewards are tangible. Do not give them a sticker at visit number 8. Give them the free adjustment. It's not going to hurt you, especially if it recommits them to another year of wellness care because they see the value. Don't be cheap. Okay, got 2 more strategies. We're doing good on time. Second strategy is your treatment planning. Uh-oh. We're going out in the audience now. All right, Dr. Dorn. How often do you get adjusted to stay well? Once a week. Once a week. What do I want to pick on? Let's see. Oh, twice a week. Excellent. Mandy, how often do you get adjusted to stay well? 1 or 2 weeks. Yep. You guys hearing a theme? Hey, staff, raise your hands if you get adjusted about once a week or so to stay well. Everybody look around real quick. Okay. The authority has spoken, would you say? But you know now what question I'm going to ask you, don't you? What do you recommend for your patients? I know the vast majority of you in here recommend once a month, don't you? See a lot of heads nodding. Why? You just told me you get adjusted once a week, twice a week, once every 10 days. Farthest I've heard in 6 months of asking somebody was I had one doctor told me they got adjusted every 6 weeks. So why, if the majority of you get adjusted once a week, are you recommending something different for your patients? What you afraid of? Remember, from just a pure value standpoint, the longer you get them out there, the lower their perceived value of your care goes, and all the other things that we just talked about as far as the enemies are concerned get in the way. 30 days can be a long time. Now, before you start thinking I'm suggesting everybody should just get an every week adjustment just because I want to tell them the value of chiropractic more often, I am not saying that. But I am saying if they should be getting once a week, once every other week, once every 3 weeks, doctors, do what's right. Tell them what they should do. Don't apologize for what it's going to take for them to stay well. It's their body, not yours. Okay, so if we need some strategy of handling this, here's the strategy. There's 2 ways that you can take this back on Monday. Strategy number 1, go back and pull up the next 4 weeks of your schedule. Look at every wellness name on the schedule. And doctors and teams, you're all going to know this. Just go down the list, and every one of them that you know walks in the door for their wellness adjustment going, oh, doc, I'm so ready to be here. Oh, doc, it was hurting a week ago. I'm so ready for that wellness adjustment. You know who I'm talking about, don't you? You got a lot of them, don't you? But isn't wellness supposed to be ahead of pain? Isn't it wellness supposed to be preventing that? Okay, for every one of them that's coming in and doing that, make a note of who they are, and when you see them at their next visit, you tell them, this wellness time frame isn't working, we need to pull it in. Don't apologize, don't be afraid. You're not their friend, you're their doctor. Tell them what they need. Here's the second strategy. Doctors, for every patient that is graduating to wellness, if they have a condition that's like yours or worse than yours, and you're getting 1 time a week, what should they get? Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So starting now, recommend what they need. 4 weeks was never anything that was set in stone, although I've heard a lot of you say, well, that's what we told you to do. If we implied that, I'm sorry. You should give them the treatment plan they need. whatever it is to stay well. All right, and I know you all knew this one was coming. If you coach with me, we talk about it all the time. Strategy number 3 for reproposing value to your wellness patients every time is your 6-point office visit. Every time. How often, doctors? Every time. Because built into your 6-point office visit is the repetition and the consistency of the messaging that reminds them what the value of the adjustment is for wellness. Because remember, their perception is going down. You're not going to, that's not going to go away. So you've got to tell them what wellness is. This is your path. This is like bumper bowling. You guys ever seen bumper bowling? Put the bumpers down in the gutter. No matter how bad you are at bowling, that pin's staying in the lane. This is your bumper bowling, doctors. And I've said to you many times in the past, the 6-point office visit, especially with wellness care, is the only patient education that they're going to get. I'm going to change that for you a little bit today and say it's the only value reproposal that you're going to have an opportunity to give them. And it's going to happen in 2 minutes. Or it's going to happen in 5 minutes. Right? So we better not be talking about other stuff. We better be paying attention to attunement. Guys, remember the 2 words I gave you? Alignment and assimilation? Alignment means when the patient comes in the door with the fishing story from vacation from a week ago, you align with them and you hear them, because I never said don't be friendly. What a cool story, John. So neat that you got to experience that. Come on over here and have a seat. Let's check your back and see what vacation did to you. You're lining up with their thought process, but you're not jumping in the pool with them. Assimilation, doctors, is when they come in and tell you the fishing story and you say, cool story, John. Let me tell you my fishing story. And how long do fishing stories take? Longer than 2 minutes, right? So if we're talking fishing stories, we're not doing 6-point office visit, are we? And then the patient goes out the door for, well, if it's 4 weeks, it's 41,800 minutes before they're back again. Did you give them enough value? I always like what Keith used to say in his classes. I've heard it so many times. Remember, you guys, they're paying you for a transaction. They have free friends. They're coming here expecting you to lead them. You can be friendly, but you got to lead them. Remember, nobody else is going to be doing it for you out there. All right, I got to be moving here. 6-point office visit. Where does it show the value of the adjustment? I'm going to give you some real specific points so we can land on these as we finish today. Point number 2 in the 6-point office visit is tell them how they are. Would you please stop talking to your wellness patients in terms of how they are in pain? They're not in pain. They're wellness patients. Mrs. Smith, glad you're here. You're a little bit bent to the side. Mr. Jones, glad you're here. When I push here, it's really stiff. Tell them how they are functionally so that they see value for coming back to you. Remember, the allopathic world's all built on pain. And so if they're still thinking allopathically, which is how the whole world thinks, if there's no pain, do they need you? So give them a reason to need you. Tell them what you see from a term of function when you get them on the table. Point number 3, I know you hate this one. Heal, prevent, future performance, right, doctors? This is your jingle. You know what a jingle is, right? M&M's, melt in your mouth, not in your, you got it. Maxwell House, good to the, you got it. That's a jingle, you guys. And the jingle brings back all the other information that surrounds it, visual and auditory and everything else. When you bring your jingle up, it reminds them of all of the patient education that you gave them through their acute care. Stop shortcutting it. Stop changing it. Stop. Just do the 3 sentences. It's only 3. You passed part 4. You can memorize 3 sentences. Point 5, encourage them and remind them of the treatment plan again. John, what a great adjustment. This once every 2 weeks is really doing well to keep your low back straight. Fantastic. Let's keep it up. It's easy. Point 6, confirm the next visit. Re-encourage them on advanced multiple scheduling. If for some reason they weren't advanced multiple scheduled, doctors, every month you should be asking for it again. Why? Because it helps boost the perception of value. Okay, clock says I got 4 minutes. Let's take this thing home. Here's the golden nugget. If you stayed here today, and all of you have, I love it, you take this back and put it into play on Monday morning. With every one of your wellness patients, you need to attach the value of your chiropractic wellness adjustment to something of super high value to them. I'm going to call it the value activity of daily living, the value ADL. It's the thing that when they get adjusted, they go home and they can do it better, longer, faster, whatever it is. Maybe it's lifting their kids. Maybe it's playing golf. Maybe it's sitting at the computer for 9 hours and programming because that's what they do to feed their family. What is the thing that when you adjust them, it helps them do it better? Do you know that for every one of your wellness patients? Do you have it written down where you can see it every single time? Staff, you should know it too. Everybody should be reconnecting to that every time. Now, why? Think about your personal value ADL. Mine's mountain biking. Spring, summer, fall, man, love to mountain bike. We bought the house that we live in because it's literally across the street from the trails. I can ride out my front door and onto the trails. I have more money tied up in mountain bike tires than I do in car tires. But now, why do I tell you these things? And why do I want you to think about your value ADL? Because it has personal relevance to you. It's tied to goals in your life. It's tied to passions in your life. Your value ADL delivers some sort of payoff to you. It stirs feelings of joy and nostalgia and pride. You've probably put a lot of time, money, and effort into it. And it might be a connection on how you socialize with others. Do you see how important this is? And if you as a doctor and you as a support team can show your patient how the adjustment helps them do the thing that they get all of this from, do you see how suddenly it starts doing all the heavy lifting for you of value proposal? Listen, my chiropractor, she knows I'm a chiropractor, and she still tells me every time I see her, that should get you back on the bike for another week or so. That should help you ride up that hill faster. She's always connecting it back to the thing that she knows I'm absolutely passionate about. Find out what your patient's value ADL is, because it has massive importance, massive usefulness, and massive monetary worth to them. And if you can hitch your trailer to that, boy, a lot of hard work is done for you. Does this make sense? Where do you attach it? Point number 3, the 6-point office visit is a perfect place to attach it, right? Instead of talking just about generic future performance, talk about the future performance of my mountain biking. Talk about the future performance of them being able to lift the grandkids in the next week. The future performance of being able to work at your desk at the computer for another week without back pain. And then again in point 5, when you're encouraging them, great adjustment. That should give you another week powering up those hills on that bike. That should give you another week picking those kids up. Love it. Now, a lot of you are going to look at this and say, that's too simple. It's too simple. But I need you guys to remember, we went and looked at all of the different things that happen inside the human mind, that when there's a high enough value, they'll reprioritize their budgeting to come to you. They'll move things out of the way to come to you. When you're fulfilling a higher need, they'll make the rest of it happen. You just attach the value. So here's your strategies. As we take this home today, trying to keep this as a valuable wellness adjustment, I want to pull a couple things from Daniel Pink's book. He said, keeping things simple and selling value is about cutting through the clutter, focusing on what truly matters to the other person, and presenting it in a way that's direct, relatable, and actionable, ultimately enhancing your patient's ability to see and seize the benefit, and I'll say the value you are offering. And if we will do this, that 80% that Keith talked about so much this morning, it's right out there. It's in our wellness patients. And dare I say, if we'll do these simple things to keep them from walking out the back door, we can rewrite Fred Barge's words. Instead of saying chiropractors will become, Can you say with me, chiropractors are, say it, are the doctors who have the ultimate concern for health maintenance and disease prevention. Thanks so much for your attention today, you guys. I hope you had a great day. Travel safe. We love you. We'll see you again in the fall in September. Take care.